D-Lo for boxing. All right, y'all, it's been a minute. We'll go ahead and speak on this Joshua versus Usyk fight. So, we all saw the first fight. We all know the outcome. Usyk was able to win a unanimous decision and take AJ's three championship titles from him. And now Usyk comes back and defend those titles to AJ. Okay, in that first fight, we saw Usyk get out, to a pretty good start, outboxing AJ. AJ came on around like round 5, 6, 7. I'd say about round 6 through 9, I think AJ did his best work. And I had to go back and re-watch it, because I had only watched the fight the one time and really wasn't that fresh in my memory. But Trey X from Marlowe's Corner, shout out to Trey X, brought it to my attention on one of their shows. Y'all go there and check those fellas out if you haven't. He was talking about how AJ seemed to have figured Usyk out, in those mid rounds, and then Usyk had a second win and kind of separated himself. And I also heard Roy Jones say the same thing on their podcast. Shout out to Roy Jones, one of my favorite of all time. He talked about the same thing, saying, that, if AJ could duplicate what he did in those rounds early on in the fight, he'd have a better chance at winning, or basically that was his only chance at winning. Well, I feel like for Usyk, he's only going to be that much more comfortable. He's got a lot going on outside of boxing, and but he and AJ both are coming back. This is their first fight since their original fight. I feel like Usyk has the confidence on his side. Yes, in rematches, a lot of times the guy that won the fight doesn't necessarily feel like he needs to make changes, and it kind of plays against him because the other guy knows he has to make changes. But at the same time, I don't think Usyk felt like he fought a perfect fight, or feels like he fought a perfect fight. I think Usyk saw the same things that we saw in terms of how the mid rounds went and how he was lamenting and laboring in that fight in certain spots. But also he saw, how his features, barely held up. You know what I'm saying? So AJ's a big, strong guy. Usyk knows he can't take a lot of punches from him. He knows AJ's almost, and I shouldn't say he knows because I don't know what he knows, but I assume, or presumably he knows that AJ's probably going to come in more aggressive and try to assert his physicality in the fight. That's what I believe is going to happen. But I also feel like because AJ doesn't have the best defense, and because there's a level of desperation on his side, that I feel like AJ being more aggressive may only open him up more. I don't feel like Robert Garcia is a defensive-minded coach, so he's definitely probably training AJ to be aggressive. It's a search of physicality. Be the big man in there, which don't get me wrong, that's what I expected AJ to do in the first fight, and I picked AJ to win the first fight, and I ate crow for that reason. Because I had saw Usyk kind of, seeming out of place in the heavyweight division. I saw his struggles with Chaz Witherspoon, a guy who got off the couch and fought him. I saw his struggles with Chisora, who is more, give or take, a journeyman in the heavyweight division, although a very exciting fighter that I like to watch fight. A guy who seems willing to fight everyone and mix it up and always gives his best. But I felt like Usyk had his trouble in that fight, and I felt like if AJ could build upon what Derek Chisora did and go out there, he'd be able to stop Usyk within, say 8 rounds. But he wasn't able to do that, and I feel like that was his opportunity to do it. I'm not going to give him a better opportunity to do it the second time around. I feel like Usyk is more filled out into the division. He's more acclimated to taking shots from a heavyweight. And he's probably learning more of how to put more leverage on his shots as a heavyweight. There's talk out that he's really, put some hurt on some guys in sparring. But that's sparring, and that's the talk that you typically get when there's a fight coming up. We'll see it in the ring. But I definitely got Usyk winning this fight. And I think AJ's aggressive nature will probably be turned against him if he comes out being too aggressive. And we all know how AJ responds when he gets hurt in most cases. He has this look of bewilderment on him, and he kind of act like he's shocked that he actually took a hard shot in a lot of cases. So, only thing about it, I feel like this go around, if Usyk is able to get AJ in trouble like he had him in some trouble in some spots in that first fight, I feel like this time he's gonna pour the coals to it and go ahead and get him on out of there. And I'm picking Usyk by stoppage. I think I picked round 8. I'm not sure what I picked on the champ Raw, so I'm like around 8 or 9, something like that. But I don't think this fight goes the distance. I think AJ, his desperation is going to play against him. But I also feel like Usyk probably knows that it'd be in his best interest to get a stoppage in this fight because of the politics and everything that AJ and his side has to gain by AJ being able to win this fight. That's all I got on D-Lo 404 Boxing. Like, share, comment, subscribe. I'm out. Peace.